What if I told you Hollywood's most spotless, glamorous power trio just got dragged into a scandal so chaotic, so messy, so downright unbelievable? Even TMZ said, yeah, we're sitting this one out? Because apparently, all it took was one suspicious video file, one furious Hollywood icon, and one unlucky phone to send the entire industry into meltdown mode. Picture this. Nicole Kidman, yes, calm, collected, Oscar-winning Nicole casually picks up Maggie Baugh's phone. She scrolls, she pauses, and then she sees it. A video file with Keith Urban's name stamped on it like a neon billboard screaming "Open me if you dare." And what does Nicole do? Does she breathe, think, ask a question? No, she does what any emotionally charged Hollywood legend would do under pressure. She annihilates the phone right then and there. Full destruction. Zero hesitation. Zero mercy. So now the real questions begin. What was in that Keith Urban clip? Why was it on Maggie Baugh's phone? And how did Nicole Kidman go from red carpet grace to Hulk smash in 5 seconds flat? Buckle up, because this story isn't just messy, it's catastrophic. And we're only getting started. People think Hollywood scandals start with cheating, divorce papers, leaked DMs, or some shady paparazzi photo taken from behind a bush. But no, this one started with a phone. Just a phone. Maggie Baugh's phone, the most unfortunate piece of technology ever created. Because somehow it became the center of one of the wildest, messiest, most violently overreacted to incidents in the entire LA celebrity ecosystem. And if you've been around Hollywood long enough, you know that says a lot. But let's rewind to the moment before the chaos. Maggie Baughh wasn't doing anything suspicious. At least not intentionally. She wasn't hiding anything scandalous. At least not knowingly. She was just living her life, creating music, taking selfies, rehearsing, posting reels, and trying to survive Hollywood like everybody else. But fate, and maybe a glitching smartphone, had other plans. Because in the midst of harmless videos, song drafts, hair tutorials, and half-composed voice notes, one file sat quietly in her gallery. A file labeled with 2 words, Keith Urban, and that alone is enough to start a forest fire in a city made entirely of gasoline and egos. Now, somehow, and this is this video nobody can explain, Nicole Kidman ended up with Maggie's phone in her hand. Maybe Maggie handed it to her. Maybe Nicole picked it up from a chair. Maybe it fell in her lap accidentally. Whatever the truth is, none of them will admit it because that single moment triggered a chain reaction that none of them can undo. Nicole, ever the graceful queen of composure, the woman who handles press like a diplomat and awards shows like a goddess, suddenly transformed into the unofficial CEO of Emotional Overreaction Incorporated. She unlocked the phone, and yes, that already raises questions. And she scrolled, and scrolled, and scrolled. Then her thumb froze. Her eyes narrowed. Her jaw twitched. Because there, staring her dead in the face, was the file Keith Urban clip.mp4. Nicole didn't blink. She didn't breathe. She just tapped it. And whatever she saw in those first 3 seconds, that's it, sent her brain into full meltdown mode. Was Keith Urban doing something shady? Was he somewhere he shouldn't have been? Was he with someone? Was Maggie's name in the metadata? Was the video edited? Cropped? Out of context? Nobody knows. And here's the craziest this video. Nicole doesn't even know because she didn't watch the rest. Her reaction was too fast, too explosive, too volcanic. 1 second, she was staring at the screen. The next second, boom, Maggie's phone was destroyed. Fully annihilated, obliterated, vaporized. People say she smashed it against a table. Others say she slammed it into the wall. One source says she crushed it with her heel like she was performing a dramatic opera. And one staff member swears she grabbed it with 2 hands and snapped it like a glow stick. Whatever method she used, one thing is clear, that phone died a painful death. Maggie, who was across the room minding her business, turned around when she heard the noise. And what she saw was Nicole holding the pieces of her phone while Keith Urban stood frozen. trying to process the fact that his wife had just gone full action movie villain over a video that he didn't even know existed. Maggie was speechless. Keith was shocked. Nicole was furious. And just like that, the three of them were locked into a scandal none of them could escape. Maggie tried to explain. Nicole didn't want explanations. Keith tried to calm her down. Nicole didn't want calm. She wanted answers. Answers Maggie didn't even have because she had no idea why the video was on her phone, what the video contained, or how Nicole even got to it before she did. Nicole paced the room like an investigator about to crack a case. She demanded an explanation, demanded the truth, demanded clarity, demanded transparency, demanded everything except oxygen. Because she clearly wasn't breathing normally at that point, Keith stood between them like a confused referee at the world's most glamorous boxing match. Nicole, wait, but she wasn't waiting. Maggie, what is this? But Maggie didn't know. Why is Keith's name on this? But Maggie couldn't answer. Why was it saved? Maggie couldn't even remember saving it, and this is where the situation escalated from messy to chaotic. Someone in the room, probably a staff member, whispered to another person. Another staff member tweeted something cryptic. A friend of a friend posted something vague on Instagram. Boom. Within an hour, the internet was convinced Keith Urban had been caught in a massive Hollywood scandal involving Maggie Baugh, Nicole Kidman, and a video file so explosive it drove Nicole to physical destruction. Memes started. Rumors spread. Gossip accounts went wild. What did Nicole see? Became the #1 trending question. Some claimed Maggie and Keith were secretly collaborating. Others said Maggie recorded something she shouldn't have. Some conspiracy theorists even suggested Nicole found evidence of a hidden Hollywood love triangle. Everyone had theories. Zero had facts. Meanwhile, inside the house, Maggie was trying to retrace her steps. Maybe it downloaded by accident. Maybe someone sent it. Maybe it was from rehearsal. Maybe it was mislabeled. But every attempt to explain sounded worse, especially to Nicole, who was deep in her dramatic villain era and absolutely not accepting any sentence that started with maybe. Keith, irritated and embarrassed, finally raised his voice, which never happens, and told Nicole to stop assuming things. That only added fire to the explosion. They started arguing. Maggie stood there feeling like she had been dropped into a reality show she didn't audition for. And nobody realized that someone outside the room was recording audio, not video, just audio of the argument. And that audio leaked. And once it leaked, the situation officially went from private meltdown to global disaster. Nicole found Keith's clip in Maggie's phone. Nicole smashed her phone in rage. Keith caught between two furious women. Maggie cries after being accused. The headlines were ridiculous, exaggerated, chaotic, and completely detached from the truth. But that never stopped the internet before. And it wasn't about to start now. Swarms of gossip accounts claimed they had sources close to the situation. Some pages said Maggie and Keith were secretly planning a music project behind Nicole's back. Others said Nicole thought the video was evidence of betrayal. A few even said Maggie was hiding a camera in her dressing room. And every time Maggie went online, she saw a new rumor breaking her reputation into pieces. But the craziest part? Those 3 seconds of video, the ones Nicole saw, had now become the most mysterious 3 seconds in Hollywood history. Nobody knew what she saw. Nobody except Nicole. But she refused to describe it. Keith didn't know. Maggie didn't know. But the world demanded answers. And that growing pressure, that endless noise, that social media hurricane, that's where the real chaos began. And right when it seemed like the situation couldn't get worse. Part 2 begins exactly where this leaves off, with the leaked audio blowing the entire scandal wide open, dragging all 3 deeper into a storm they didn't see coming. The leaked audio changed everything. Before this point, people were confused, divided, or simply entertained by the chaos. But once the recording hit the internet, it was like someone dumped jet fuel on an already raging fire. That audio clip, only 43 seconds long, was the kind of Hollywood meltdown that every gossip channel dreams about. And the worst this video? It didn't even include context. It started in the middle of Nicole shouting, continued through Maggie trying to defend herself, and ended with Keith saying, "Everyone calm down before this becomes something it's not," which of course made the public assume it already was something exactly like that dot in the audio. Nicole's voice was sharp, trembling with anger. "Why is your name on her phone?" She shouted at Keith, and people immediately assumed the worst. Maggie's voice came next, shaky, pleading, trying to explain that she didn't even know how the file got there. But the internet wasn't interested in explanations. They were interested in drama, and they got it. Thousands of comments flooded in within minutes. Nicole caught them. One person posted, "Keith and Maggie are hiding something," another claimed. "This is gonna blow up," someone else wrote, and it did. What nobody outside the room realized was that the argument wasn't about cheating or betrayal. Nicole wasn't accusing Maggie of anything romantic. She was furious because she felt blindsided. She felt disrespected. She felt like there was a conversation happening behind her back about a video that included Keith, and it didn't involve her. That wasn't scandal enough for the internet, though. So they created their own version, and within hours, that version became gospel truth. Meanwhile, inside the house, the tension was unbearable. Maggie sat at the edge of a chair, clutching the pieces of her destroyed phone like they were fragments of her dignity. Nicole paced back and forth, her emotions still in overdrive, the adrenaline refusing to settle. Keith stood between them, like a firefighter trying to hold back to volcanic eruptions with a plastic cup of water. Nobody is saying anything happened. Maggie insisted, her voice breaking under the pressure. "I don't even know what that video was. I didn't put it there. I swear." Nicole stopped pacing just long enough to stare at her. "Then why was Keith's name on it? Why was it saved? Why were you hiding it?" "Hiding it?" Maggie's frustration exploded. "I didn't know it was even there." "Nicole, I swear, I didn't." "Enough," Keith snapped, louder than both of them expected. He wasn't angry at either woman. He was angry at the situation, at the assumptions, at the fact that one tiny misunderstanding had turned into an emotional avalanche. But the internet didn't care about nuance. They heard Keith raise his voice and assumed it meant guilt. By the time the three of them realized the audio had leaked, it was too late. Every blog, every entertainment page, every TikTok gossip account had posted it. And not just posted, they dissected it, slowed it down, boosted the audio, added captions, added theories, added dramatic music, added side-by-side photos of Keith and Maggie as if they were building the case of the century. Producers began calling. PR teams went into panic mode. Managers were demanding statements. And all three stars refused to comment, which only made things look worse. Then came the anonymous insiders. You know the type, the imaginary people who claim to have seen everything but can't provide a single piece of proof. One insider said Maggie and Keith had been spending suspicious amounts of time together. Another insider claimed Nicole had been feeling insecure for weeks. Another claimed Maggie had been warned before. All fake, all ridiculous, all viral. And the public ate it up like popcorn. Suddenly Maggie's name was trending worldwide. Not for a song, not for a performance, but because people thought she was involved in a secret scandal with Keith Urban. Keith's fans defended him aggressively. Nicole's fans defended her even more aggressively. And Maggie's fans were in complete confusion, trying to figure out how their favorite musician went from releasing covers to being accused of destroying a marriage. But behind the scenes, the tension inside the house only grew. Nicole felt betrayed, not by a scandal, but by the simple fact that she had walked into something she didn't understand. Keith felt attacked by the public even though he'd done nothing wrong. Maggie felt like her career was hanging by a thread over something she didn't cause and couldn't explain. When they finally tried to re-watch what remained of the video from the destroyed phone's backup data, the situation became even stranger. The file didn't open. It was corrupted. The only thing visible was a blurry thumbnail that showed nothing identifiable. It didn't prove anything. It didn't explain anything. It was literally just a glitchy, broken frame, like a half-loaded YouTube video from 2008 that only made the situation worse. Because Nicole's anger now had nowhere to land. She couldn't confirm or deny what she thought she saw. She couldn't justify destroying the phone. She couldn't reverse the chaos. She was stuck in an emotional loop, unsure what was real and what she imagined. Keith tried to fix things by calling a tech expert to recover the full video. That was a mistake, because the minute a repair van pulled into the driveway, paparazzi swarmed like bugs are on a spotlight. Photos were taken. Articles were written. Urban calls and tech team to erase evidence, one headline said. Completely false, but viral anyway. Meanwhile, Maggie couldn't go online without seeing her face next to captions like, "The woman at the center of it all, the truth Maggie won't say. Is this the end of Keith and Nicole?" Every time she refreshed her feed, another wave of speculation hit her. She went from rising musician to Hollywood villain in 12 hours. And all because a file with Keith's name magically appeared on her phone. Inside the house, the three of them had reached peak pressure. Keith wanted answers. Nicole wanted closure. Maggie wanted to disappear. The repair tech wanted to get paid and leave, but even he got dragged into a conversation he never asked for. "It looks like it might be a mislabeled file," he said awkwardly, staring at his laptop. "Could be a sync error. Could be an autosave from a shared folder. Hard to tell without," but Nicole cut him off. "So you're saying it might not mean anything?" "It might not," he confirmed. "But it might?" She challenged. He hesitated. And of course, that hesitation made everything 10 times worse. Keith glared at him. "Just fix it." Maggie sat there silently, her heart somewhere between frustration and fear, thinking about her career, her image, and the fact that a corrupted video might destroy everything she's built. But the repair expert's final words hit them like a hammer. "It's possible this video came from someone else entirely. It may not even have been recorded by Maggie or Keith." The room fell silent. Nicole's eyes widened. Keith's shoulders tensed. Maggie felt her stomach drop. Someone else? Someone else had access? Someone else put the video there? The silence was suffocating. The moment the tech guy said, "It may not have come from either of you," the air in the room turned thick enough to choke on. Nicole froze mid-step. Keith stared at the technician like he had just dropped a bomb. Maggie's mouth fell open slightly, as if her brain was trying to catch up to the sentence he just delivered. Someone else had access to Maggie's phone. Someone else had placed the video there. Someone else, in this already insane situation, had now entered the chat. Keith stepped forward first, arms folded, jaw tense. "Explain that. Who else could have put a video on her phone?" he demanded. Maggie swallowed hard, trying not to panic. Nicole walked slowly to the technician, narrowing her eyes with the intensity of a prosecutor about to cross-examine a witness in a courtroom drama she didn't audition for, but was absolutely ready to star in. The technician cleared his throat nervously. "Well, sometimes if a device is connected to shared networks, shared rehearsals, shared cloud systems, or if it syncs with someone else's folder, whether intentionally or accidentally, files can be transferred without the user realizing." He paused, adjusting his glasses, clearly regretting that he ever accepted this job. In other words, if anyone has access to Maggie's work files, shared studios, rehearsal drives, or cloud accounts, they could have dropped the video in there. Nicole blinked slowly. "Anyone?" She repeated, "Anyone." The technician confirmed. For the first time since this entire disaster began, Nicole's anger paused. Her suspicion shifted. And for one single moment, Maggie could bread right when it seemed like the situation couldn't get worse. This video begins exactly where this leaves off, with the leaked audio blowing the entire scandal wide open, dragging all three deeper into a storm they didn't see coming. Again. Just a little. Because suddenly, the spotlight wasn't on her. It wasn't even on Keith. It was on everyone else. Keith rubbed his temples. "So someone uploaded this? Why, for what reason?" His voice wasn't angry, it was tired, exhausted, almost scared of what the truth might be, and that's when Maggie remembered something. Something she had brushed off as nothing, but now it suddenly felt like a missing puzzle piece. Maggie sat forward slowly. There was someone else in the studio last week, she said softly. Someone new. Someone I didn't recognize. Nicole turned sharply. Who? Maggie hesitated. He said he was with the sound team, but he wasn't with the usual crew, and he was near my equipment. I thought he was adjusting something for the session. Her voice grew shakier with every word. But now, I'm not sure. Nicole's eyes widened. Keith's posture stiffened. The technician looked like he wanted to disappear into his own laptop. Because suddenly, the scandal wasn't just scandal anymore. It was potential sabotage. Intentional sabotage. And Hollywood loves sabotage. Why didn't you mention this sooner? Nicole snapped because I didn't think it was important. Maggie shot back, frustration bursting out. Nicole, I didn't think someone would break into my files and drop a random video in there. I didn't think my life would explode over 3 seconds of confusion. Keith stepped in. Stop. All of us stop. We're turning on each other, and that's exactly what someone would want if they planted this. Someone planted this. That sentence alone could have ended careers, but the chaos wasn't done. Not even close, because at that exact moment, like destiny had a twisted sense of humor, all 3 of their phones buzzed loudly at once. Notifications were blowing up, hundreds per second. The technician instinctively backed away, already knowing what this meant. The internet had discovered the technician. Someone leaked his name. Someone leaked his involvement. Someone leaked that he said the video didn't come from either of them. And once that hit social media, the entire narrative flipped upside down. Within minutes, headlines were everywhere. Sabotage. Video was planted on Maggie's phone. Keith Urban set up a digital trap. Nicole's rage was triggered by manipulation. But by who? Hollywood hacker at the center of massive prank? People started spinning theories faster than anyone could read them. Some claimed it was an obsessed fan trying to create drama. Others said it was a rival musician jealous of Maggie's rising fame. Some said a disgruntled ex-employee of Keith's wanted revenge. Others insisted it was a Hollywood insider trying to tear the trio apart for publicity. And just like that, Maggie was no longer the villain. She was the victim. Keith was no longer the suspect. He was the target. Nicole was no longer the overreacting wife. She was a woman manipulated by someone behind the scenes. But this sudden shift didn't make things easier. It made them more chaotic. Inside the house, all 3 of them sat down, exhausted, emotionally drained, but finally on the same page. Something very wrong had happened here. And none of them were the cause. Maggie stared at the floor. Why would someone do this? Who would even bother? She whispered. Nicole sighed, sitting back. Because someone knew a little misunderstanding could blow up into a headline. Someone knew the 3 of us together would get attention. Someone knew I'd overreact if I saw something out of context. She rubbed her forehead. Someone played us. Keith nodded slowly. The real question is, who? They sat in silence for a long moment, all thinking the same thing. Someone had access to their studios. Someone had access to the devices. Someone might even be close to them. The technician snapped them out of their thoughts. I can try pulling metadata from the corrupted file, he offered. It might tell us where it originated. Maggie nodded desperately. Please, he typed quickly. The room was silent except for the clacking of keys. Nicole leaned forward. Keith stood behind him, arms folded tightly. Maggie held her hands together, praying the truth would finally reveal itself. Then the technician froze. His eyes widened. He looked up slowly. What? Nicole demanded. He hesitated. This video wasn't recorded on Maggie's phone. And it wasn't recorded on Keith's phone either. Keith stiffened. Then whose? The technician swallowed hard. It was recorded on a device connected to Nicole's team. The room went dead silent. Nicole's team. The room went dead silent. Nicole blinked, stunned. My team? She whispered. Maggie's eyes widened. Keith's jaw dropped. Suddenly, the entire narrative twisted again, like a snake snapping its body into a new shape. Someone from Nicole's side. Someone inside her own circle. Someone close enough to her to know how to hit her emotions. Someone who could access her systems, her files, her networks. Why would someone on my team do this to me? Nicole asked quietly, almost hurt. The technician whispered. Maybe. They weren't doing it to you. Keith's eyes hardened. They were doing it to us. Before anyone could react, the technician read more data. Wait a second. There's more. The file was this video of a larger batch, meaning this wasn't the only video planted. Maggie nearly stood up. There are more. Possibly, he said, but they weren't downloaded. Only this one was. Nicole shook her head in disbelief. So the entire meltdown, the phone, the argument, the leak, the headlines, all because of a video someone on my side planted to stir chaos? The technician nodded slowly. For a long, agonizing moment, nobody spoke. Then Maggie whispered what all three were thinking. This wasn't an accident. Someone wanted us to destroy each other, and that's when the fallout began. Per teams demanded statements. Public backlash turned into public sympathy. Lawyers got involved. Investigations launched. Contracts were questioned. Allegations surfaced. Nicole's team denied everything. Maggie's team called for transparency. Keith's fans demanded accountability. And all three realized something chilling. The scandal wasn't personal. It was strategic, calculated, planned. Someone set the three of them up to explode publicly. And they walked right into it. And now the world wanted answers. And someone would have to pay for what happened. That is where the fallout begins. And why this scandal didn't end with the video. It only started with it, and there you have it, the Hollywood hurricane nobody saw coming, yet somehow everyone is talking about. A single video file, a single second of doubt, and suddenly Maggie Baugh, Keith Urban, and Nicole Kidman are the unwilling stars of a scandal bigger than their entire combined filmography. But let's be honest, after everything we've uncovered tonight, after the anonymous leaks, the suspicious footage, the insider whispers, and the emotional demolition of a phone worth more than most people's rent, can you honestly say you're surprised? Because if Hollywood teaches us anything, it's this: nothing is ever as perfect as it looks. Nobody is ever as innocent as they pretend. And every private moment is one accidental swipe away from a full-blown public crisis. So now the question is, what do you think really happened? Was Maggie hiding something? Was Keith being careless? Or did Nicole react exactly how anyone would if they discovered a suspicious video starring their spouse on someone else's device? Drop your theories, conspiracies, and wildest guesses in the comments. And if you want more explosive Hollywood takedowns, more behind-the-curtain chaos, and more truth the industry wishes you would ignore, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because trust me, this saga is far from over.